It is easy to sit up and take notice. What is difficult is getting up and taking action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Podnuts Pro. I am your host, Marvin Bee. Tonight, I am joined by a good old friend, not just to me, but of the community for many, many years. He used to be your friendly neighborhood computer guy, Matt Rodela. Matt, how are you, sir?
Good. Now I'm just your friendly neighborhood marketing guy, I guess.
Yeah, look at you, put in the marketing Matt as your title there. I guess I should have put no marketing Marv.
No, I was trying to be the antithesis to the no marketing Marv.
So here we are. This is episode 2 in our series of No Marketing Marv Presents. And Matt Rodela is with Tech Marketing Engine and Tech Reputation, Tech Site Builder, the whole string of things there. And we'll be talking about all the good things in marketing that we should know. So how you doing, Matt?
There's a lot. I mean, I'm still learning stuff every day, so it's a lot to cover. We'll touch on a little bit of it. But yeah, I've been great. I mean, hopefully coming out on the other side of the pandemic craziness out there, and hopefully get some conferences going and some of that other stuff, get out into the world. I feel like I've been a hermit for the last year.
I think we all have.
Yeah. So
except for Florida man.
Florida man's out there making stuff happen. Always.
Yes, we are. So for those of you that don't know and are watching us live, or if you're listening to the audio later, Podnuts Pro is your podcast for IT business support. We talk about products, we share stories, tell tips, all in an effort to help you run your business better, smarter, and faster. We are here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And if you are able to watch us, we broadcast live on YouTube and the Facebook. If you want to catch us on the audio later, you can head over to podnutspro.com. There you can find a back catalog of all the episodes going back at least a year or so when I started putting them on the website. If you go to podnuts.com, you can find the full catalog of Podnuts Pro shows as well. Let's see. I mentioned that March is our month of marketing, and I have assembled several experts that are going to come on here and teach me and you, hopefully, about all things marketing. But before we get into that, I want to get to a segment that I think some of you like and some of you are going to start to like, and we are going to go in the news. Graham Clark, who pled guilty to hacking Twitter in July 2020, has been sentenced to 3 years in prison. Graham is a Florida man who pleaded guilty to hacking Twitter as a 17-year-old. The hack caused widespread outages for verified users and posted Bitcoin-related information from accounts of well-known figures such as Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Elon Musk. He took over those accounts, but the money that he stole was from regular, hard-working people. He gained access to Twitter accounts and to the internal controls of Twitter through compromising a Twitter employee. He sold access to those accounts and then used the IDs of prominent people to solicit money in the form of Bitcoin. And in related news, Visa is planning to accept Bitcoin. According to the CEO of Visa, Al Kelly, the popular company Visa is mapping out the outline of a plan that has to do with the support of buying Bitcoin on Visa credentials. The announcement of the CEO appeared following the MasterCard publication of its cryptocurrency plans back in February. Tesla, the world's biggest electric car producer, lately published its $1.5 billion stakes in Bitcoin and said that the company is intending to accept Bitcoin as a method of payment for its products. CoinFlip, one of the head Bitcoin ATM providers in the US, has extended its network significantly in the last few months because of a wave in demand. The world's biggest cryptocurrency recorded an all-time top of $61,000 last Sunday. Wow. Just wait till Florida man gets a hold of Bitcoin. That's going to be something else. And that's going to do it for In the News. All right.
Are you in on the Bitcoin craze?
I'm not.
Yeah, me neither.
Here's the problem. I thought about it a while back when it was like, I don't know, 2000. And I'm like, that's a little high.
Right.
And now,
little did you know.
Little did I know. But apparently you can still get in. You can get, as part of like a mutual fund of Bitcoins, I guess you can still get in.
Yeah, you can. You just, it's whether or not it's going to continue to go up and when the bubble's going to burst, so to speak.
Did you hear the story about the guy who had something like $1 million in Bitcoin, but he forgot the password to his locker?
Yes. Yeah. That would be my luck if I got into Bitcoin.
That's like buying a lottery ticket and forgetting where you put it.
Right.
Wow. So, all right. So later in the show, Matt, you'll of course have the opportunity to challenge Florida Man in the Florida Man versus the World or random question. I'm not going to ask you to commit now. We'll wait till the end of the show.
I'll think about it.
Okay. All right. So I should have probably asked you before I did the news. How'd you like those pictures down memory lane in the opening video?
That was great. I like that you used some recent ones and some ones that weren't actually my profile picture. Because sometimes when I go on shows or do a guest appearance, they just grab my profile picture from Facebook or something and throw it up there.
That's just weak. That's just weak. I have a research team that we go out and we dig for these things.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it brought back some great memories of the past events and conventions and stuff that we've been a part of.
Yeah. Speaking of, I think the last time we physically saw each other was in Michigan.
Yeah, that's right.
TechCon Unplugged in 2019.
Yes.
And we actually did a show. We did, you and Ramey Bell came on and talked about Tech Marketing Engine. And
yeah, that was kind of our debut of Tech Marketing Engine because we had just formed our partnership to form that company that summer. And so we kind of did the big unveiling at TechCon. And that was a lot of fun.
All right. And speaking of there, he is in our chat, your partner there, Ramey. Hello, Ramey.
Yep. Hey, Ramey, how's it going?
A few others in the chat. If you have questions and stuff, feel free to throw them in the chat, whether you're on YouTube or the Facebook. And if you are watching and you have the time, stay with us throughout the show because afterwards, Matt has agreed to stay and we can get a little bit more in depth, be a little less casual, or a little more casual after the podcast. So, all right, Matt, well, let's get into it and let's talk about some of the topics that I've been trying to get marketing experts like you to explain to me. And of course, the topic that everybody talks about now in marketing all has to do with content marketing. But I think a lot of us really don't understand it because for some, it's just throwing up something on Facebook or LinkedIn. And how do you engage people with just a post like that? So let's start with content marketing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. And that's pretty much all we focus on at Tech Marketing Engine. So it's something that we're keenly familiar with. But there's a lot of facets to it. I mean, what you're doing now is content marketing, right? You're putting yourself out there, you're creating content. And when we're talking about content marketing, we're talking about digital content that you create online. And the beautiful thing about that is you create, a video, a podcast, a blog post, whatever it is, and you put it out there and then it lives forever. So it's continually discovered and people can continue to find it. So that's one of the cool, powerful things about content marketing is once it's out there, and people can continue to find you through that. Another thing I really like about it is it's duplicatable, whatever the word is, you can duplicate it. So
Right.
you can take, you can, whatever you're more comfortable with. If you're more comfortable with recording a video like this, then you can do that. And then you can send it off to a transcription service or just have it transcribed by yourself or however you want to do it, into a blog post, into a newsletter, into social media posts. And so you can take one thing you do, you could do that with a podcast, or you can write a blog post and then turn it into a video, which is something we do at Tech Blog Builder, and just throw it out there. And so that way, no matter how people consume content, whether they like to read blog posts or watch videos or listen to podcasts, you will be there to be in front of them. So that's kind of the gist of it, just getting stuff about you and your business out into the world.
Okay. Now, I heard a while back, and I don't remember where I heard it from, so whoever I'm stealing this from, I'm sorry. But one of the things that you want to do with all of this content marketing, whatever you're doing on the internet, first of all, you were right. It lives forever. So whether it's good or whether it's bad,
yeah,
the internet don't lie. But the bottom line is you really want to drive your people somewhere.
Yes.
Now, the person that I was talking to at the time said you want to drive them back to your website.
Yes.
So, but when you drive them back to your website, what then?
Yeah. So yeah, the purpose of content marketing is to get people to contact you and your business. So there are different ways to do that. I mean, you can be driving people to your Facebook business page, and then you have your phone number and contact method on your Facebook business page. So, and LinkedIn page and other places on the internet. So you do want to make sure you have contact info everywhere, but you also want to make sure that you're funneling people, you have links and everything back to your main website, because that's where people really get to know about your business. That's the place you have control over, because we know, Facebook is changing how it looks and how it lays things out every other week. And so, who knows what's going to happen next? They can kick you off for all you know. So the web page is really where you want people to end up. Same with followers. It's good to have followers on social media and stuff, but if that goes away, those followers go away. So you want to get them to your website, and then you have a few options once they're on your website, and you should have all of these available for them. First of all, as a way to contact you directly. So whether that's your phone number, if you're comfortable doing that, I know some like solo techs or work from home techs don't like to put their phone number out there because they're, busy doing work and they can't answer the phone all the time. So you can either have a phone number or, a contact form, a little chat widget in the bottom right corner of your website, that if you're able to answer live, great. If not, then that could also lead to some kind of contact form. So that's the number one thing, that if people want to contact you right away, you make sure you give them that opportunity. And then the second thing you want to make sure to do is, if they're not ready to contact you or they just want to learn more about you, have a way for them to give you their email address so that you can keep in touch with them. And the best way that we find to do that is to have a very enticing downloadable thing. It could be an ebook. It could be some sort of video training series. We've seen that done, especially like around cybersecurity and stuff. Some people like to watch videos about that, or like a white paper or something like that. Whatever your target customer is, have some sort of, juicy, very impactful, useful, so something that they can take action on, lead magnet. And then have that be kind of the secondary thing, that if people are scrolling down your homepage, they can see, oh, I can sign up. I can get this lead magnet, and then I just have to give them my email address. And then, of course, you would then continue to send them useful information through email. So those are two ways. Another kind of sneaky way is make sure you have the Facebook pixel installed on your website. So that way, Facebook, in all of its big brotherness, can see that someone's been on your website. And then one of the most effective ads that we've seen IT businesses run is retargeting ads. So basically you only show ads to people who have been to your website first. And the only way you can track that is with the Facebook pixel. So that's another way. If someone goes to your website and then they get distracted or they go somewhere else and you don't get their information right away, you can retarget them with that Facebook pixel. So in the future, you can remind them that, hey, they were at this awesome website for this IT guy, and they'll come back and visit you again.
Okay, so real quick, explain the Facebook pixel, because I think people are going to get confused, because I just did, because that's not just where you have a photo GIF or GIF or whatever of Facebook
Right.
that points your people from your website to your Facebook page. Is that
Right. Yeah. Thank you. I get caught up in marketing speak sometimes, and so that's something that we do all the time as marketers. But folks who aren't in that world might not know. So in Facebook, you have to go to. So Facebook has this other world called the Facebook Business Portal. So if you go to business.facebook.com, that'll get you to the Facebook Business section, where you can manage your business page on Facebook and do a whole bunch of other stuff like run ads and manage groups and manage multiple pages and stuff like that. And so through that portal is where up in the menu, you might have to dig a little bit to find it, but there's something called the Facebook Pixel. And it's basically just a little snippet of code. And it's called a pixel because it does add a 1-by-1 tiny indiscernible pixel on your website. And when your website loads that's how Facebook can tell that someone visited your website. So you add that into, it tells you how to add it to your website. And then you add that into the code of your website, so Facebook could see when someone lands on your site.
so? Does it track when people go from Facebook to your website or from your website to Facebook?
So it's, as long as someone has logged into Facebook recently on the computer and it created a cookie in your web browser, then they can visit your website at any time. So it doesn't have to be from Facebook that they visit your website. And that's kind of, the secret of what Facebook has done to really kind of be able to target ads so well to people is most people don't know. Once you log into Facebook, you're kind of always logged into Facebook, right? You never have to re-log in. And so as long as you're logged into Facebook, Facebook is basically tracking where you're going. As long as that Facebook pixel is installed on any of the websites you visit, it can trace you back to your Facebook profile. And so it creates a link there. And then when I go and I create an ad in Facebook, I can say, target all the people that have visited my page. And then Facebook will know, it'll tie all of its Facebook users to people who have visited my website. And it doesn't necessarily have to be through Facebook. It could just be at any time after they've logged into Facebook.
Interesting. I did not know that. That's nugget number one. All right.
Yeah. That's
Now,
why people will say Facebook is either listening to me talking or they're reading my mind. Really, they're just watching what website you're browsing on, and they're able to kind of put together a profile of you and see what you and be able to tell what you're interested in.
all right. So Facebook and Google tracking everything we do.
Absolutely.
So here's a question. I know a lot of people have complained that Facebook marketing doesn't work. Now, sometimes I think it's the fact that when people post, they say that their post isn't reaching everyone, and that you have to kind of trick Facebook and, liking your own post and all of that stuff. So is that true as it relates to marketing, or is it just posting, or what is that about?
Yeah, I mean, it's constantly changing. So if someone tried Facebook marketing like 2 or 3 years ago, the approach would be different now, and it's gotten a lot better. So before, even 2 or 3 years ago, when you ran a Facebook ad, if you didn't really hone in on the right audience for it, you could end up getting people from all over the world seeing your ads. And if you're a local IT shop, that's not really going to work for you. So you're going to see like thousands of views on your ad and, a bunch of clicks, probably not a lot of clicks, but like a bunch of views. And then you're like, okay, I got all these views, but I'm not getting any business out of it. And that's because those views could be people in India or China or, the UK or whatever, because you didn't quite target the audience properly. And so that's why I really love Facebook retargeting, because it can be confusing to try to figure out how to target audiences on Facebook. So instead of trying to figure that out, just say anyone who's visited my website can see this ad. And something else you can do with that is then you can tell Facebook to create a lookalike audience. So say you don't get a lot of traffic on your website, you only get a few dozen people that visit your site within a given time period. That's not enough people to show ads to and get any kind of results. So you can say, okay, Facebook, take a look at the people who visited my website and then find a bunch of other people on Facebook who have similar interests, are from a similar area of the country, and do, have similar things and like age range and stuff like that. And then show this ad to those people as well. And that way, you're kind of targeting the right kind of people, and you can get a lot better results from doing that than just running an ad or boosting a post and then just throwing it out there and hoping people see it.
And this is all stuff you can do on that business.facebook.com.
Yep. Yeah, I would recommend if you do, want to get into it, that there are plenty of courses to take, and I don't have any off the top of my head right now, but if you just search free Facebook ads course or something like that, Facebook has a lot that they put out, but there's also a lot that you can find on websites like Udemy and stuff like that, where you can either for free or really cheap, you can learn how to run Facebook ads, because it's one of those things. It kind of feels intuitive as you're doing it, but there's really a lot of caveats and things you got to keep in mind as you're building your ads. And so taking just a quick class on it will help. And then also, of course, finding an expert or something. That's why Facebook ad businesses have been popping up all over the place, because it can get confusing, and it's something you have to do right in order for it to be effective. I know us IT guys like to kind of do stuff ourselves and tinker in the tech ourselves. And that's good to maybe just get a kind of a familiarization with it. But even at Tech Marketing Engine, we don't do Facebook ads because it's something that we still feel like we're not quite in enough and have a big enough grasp on to be able to offer that as a service, because it is complicated.
All right. So Facebook, a big topic there and a big area there. So content marketing. So Facebook, we mentioned any other content that you throw online, podcasting, blogs, YouTube, I assume that's a whole beast unto itself, right?
Yeah. I mean, YouTube, you put your content on the platform that it belongs on. So of course, if you're not creating videos or, and you're not making videos, then of course you're not going to go on YouTube. I see some people try to force themselves to go on YouTube when it's like, you could tell they're not comfortable creating videos, and it's just not something that they're into. And they end up wasting a bunch of time on it. So I'm telling you don't have to be on YouTube if you don't want to be. You can be, on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn's a great place as an IT service provider to be, especially if you're targeting businesses, right? So you don't have to feel like you have to be on every social media platform. Just be on the ones that, is where your target market's going to hang out and where you're comfortable producing content for.
All right. So I know that LinkedIn is more professional. At least that's what it was billed as in terms of, hey, if you want to hang out, go to Facebook, but if you want to do work, go to LinkedIn. But I don't see at least the push to be on LinkedIn in terms of marketing your business and stuff. It used to be where you put your profile on to be seen by others, but what's the marketing like on LinkedIn now?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn is a great place to market, but it's like going to a professional conference. So you have the booths that are set up where vendors are hawking their wares and stuff, and that's great. You might walk by a couple. You might put your email down for a couple that look interesting, and that's like the ads you see on LinkedIn, right? So there's that going on, but really the bulk of the benefit you get from it is interacting and socializing and networking with other people who are there. And so that's how I like to treat LinkedIn, where it's a place where you shouldn't be selling yourself or what people think of as marketing yourself. It should be a place where you're engaging with other people's posts. So you should be following a lot of people who you think are your target customer and seeing what they're posting, and then commenting, saying congratulations on your anniversary, saying, oh, that's a cool article you posted. Here's what I think about it. Start engaging with your target customers so they get to know you. And then you start posting your own stuff on there. And then they, in turn, some of them will start engaging with your stuff. And then that's kind of how you build that relationship. And then finally, you can maybe see if someone might need IT help, or you post a blog post every now and then, and one of them might be like, oh, that guy's been helpful in the past. Let me see what he has to offer. So again, it's kind of one of those, you just have to build a following, and you have to, interact. None of this is an easy button thing where you just show up and put up your profile and then you magically get customers. You have to, engage with people, but it's a great place to find those, higher level executives. I have a lot of past clients in my IT business days who I'm still friends with on LinkedIn, and I see them posting a lot on LinkedIn. CEOs and marketing executives of companies and stuff, they're on LinkedIn all the time, either looking for talent or, trying to network with other CEOs and stuff like that. So that's how you kind of slip in and get in with those higher level executives that you probably wouldn't be able to get a hold of if you called the company, cold called the company or something like that.
All right. Now, does the marketing in terms of business ads, does it, in a sense, work the same on LinkedIn as it does on Facebook? Can you put the same content on both?
You can. It's not as sophisticated as Facebook, so it's a lot harder to target. It's not something that I've really delved into too much. I have heard of some people being successful on it, but I haven't really heard of many like IT type businesses being successful with ads on LinkedIn. So I don't know, but yeah, it works the same way. You can throw up an ad and it looks the same, and it shows up in the person's feed as they're scrolling, and all of that stuff. It's not something I really dug into too much.
All right. So we didn't list this on our list of things, but what about the big craze right now? Business on the TikTok.
Yeah. I mean, if you're targeting whatever the generation is below millennials that came after millennials, if you're targeting that generation with your services, then sure, be on TikTok. But you got to go where your target customer is hanging out. And if your target customer is hanging out on TikTok, and they might be, you might be servicing, I don't know, stay-at-home parents that they might be getting into the TikTok thing with their kids, or something. So what I say is, if TikTok is a place where you hang out and you like to, interact with people there, then by all means start marketing there. But if it's something you've never interacted with before, and then you're like, oh, I need to market my IT business on TikTok, that's probably not going to work out too well for you.
All right. Just thought I'd throw that out there because somebody had to say something. I just wondered.
So you had to bring it up, the elephant in the room. You see a lot of businesses doing well on TikTok. Those are the kind of businesses that are like direct to consumer, kind of lifestyle brand businesses or celebrities, stuff like that do well on TikTok. But, us stuffy IT guys with our, boring IT businesses, probably it would be hard to get traction there, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. And I've already committed to never being on TikTok.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's all these other things now. The newest is Clubhouse.
Yeah. So Clubhouse passed me by because I don't have an iPhone, and apparently you need an iPhone to be able to be invited to it. So, what I try to keep a finger on the pulse of the new stuff that's coming out, but we're not really fad followers at Tech Marketing Engine. We like to find the stuff that's tried and true and tested, and then offer services on that. So we focus a lot on Facebook and blogs and newsletters and stuff like that. And we, see what's going on with Clubhouse and TikTok and stuff. But, until it's something that the average, everyday Joe in the neighborhood of our customers, which are IT folks, they have a business in a neighborhood. And if it's something that the majority of people in that neighborhood are going to be involved with, then we say, yeah, go ahead and start marketing there. But right now, a lot of those things are still very fringe, especially Clubhouse. That's very fringe. That's a lot of, entrepreneurs and coaches and stuff are on there. But I don't see too many like everyday people hanging out on Clubhouse looking for IT services.
I didn't think I would, but I just got invited. So I haven't done anything with it.
Yeah.
Don't know, but I got invited. So I said yes, just because I figured I might as well have a foot in the door.
Yeah. Check it out. Who knows? Especially because it's audio based. So that could be a great, podcasting channel for you. And have a place to kind of spread the podcasting and the kind of the stuff you do with Podnuts.
Right.
That might be a good place for that.
All right. So since we talked about that and the fact that Clubhouse is iPhone only, how much work do you have to do to engage people in this ever-changing world where now all of our marketing seems to have the need to be geared towards mobile users? Like, people are doing searches for things on their phone or their tablets. They're not at a computer. They're not looking at a newspaper in the traditional sense. So how much thought do we have to give to that?
Yeah. So a good test is to, if you haven't done this, set up Google Analytics on your website, and it works like the Facebook pixel. You go up, sign up for Google Analytics. They give you a little snippet of code you add to your website, and then you log into Google, and over time it'll tell you where people are visiting you from, what device they're visiting your website from, whether it's a desktop or a mobile phone. So instead of giving a blanket statement like, oh, you need to always be focused on mobile, see where your average visitor is coming from. Because if you're a B2B company, if you're doing mostly business work, if you're targeting, professional services, that kind of thing, a lot of those folks are doing their searches on desktop computers. I know, for example, Tech Marketing Engine, the majority of our visitors are from a desktop computer. So that doesn't mean you should ignore mobile. You should make sure that your website, still looks good on a mobile phone and stuff like that. But before you start really going all in on mobile, just see where the majority of the people are coming to your website from. And if it's over 50% mobile, then you can say, okay, now I need to really make sure that my website looks really good. There's lots of big buttons that people can press on, and it's really optimized for a mobile experience. But at the end of the day, it's all the social media platforms have mobile apps and stuff. So it's really just your website that you need to make sure that's mobile responsive, is what we call in the website world, where the website looks good no matter what screen size it's on. It can shrink down to a mobile phone, and everything rearranges itself and looks good.
Okay. All right. So, folks, just want to remind everybody we are here on Podnuts Pro talking to Matt Rodela from Tech Marketing Engine. For those of you that have joined us live here and you're in the chat, be sure to stay with us through the rest of the show. Matt is actually going to stay as we end the show, and we'll do a little post-show chat, and we'll get to some of the comments and questions that are in the chat right now. I see a couple of comments in there. I don't want to ignore them, but want to get through the content here and address those after the show. So content marketing, Matt, seems to be a whole lot of stuff, but once you get your content and you put it out there, you got to drive people to it. So the next part is what? Getting found online?
Yeah. So the good thing about content marketing is it's kind of inherently going to get people to find you. So once you start putting the content out there, we recommend starting with regular blog posts. And just, if you want to start doing it yourself, block out, an hour or two sometime during the week to just set it on your schedule and say, this is the time that I'm going to sit down and write blog posts. And you want to write blog posts. Typically, the best kind of posts to write are the kind that answer questions that you've heard customers asking you. So, for example, how do I avoid the falling victim to these identity theft scams that I keep hearing about on the news? Or, how do I set up a Zoom so that I can, talk with my grandma? Or how can my grandma set up Zoom? Or all these questions that you might be getting from your customers, and then just write a blog post. The title of the blog post can be the question, how do I set up Zoom for my grandma? And then the blog post can be, the steps that you follow to do that. And so that's the first thing. You just want to get into a routine of writing regular blog posts. Probably about once a week is good to get started. And then, make sure that once you do that, then you share it online. So you share it on whatever platforms we talked about earlier that you want to. And also a good thing to do is join groups where your target customer is hanging out. When I say groups, I'm thinking of Facebook groups, but any other kind of online community that's out there where your target customer is hanging out. For example, I've seen some of our customers at Tech Marketing Engine actually go out and create groups, especially in COVID times. A couple of them have created local coronavirus tips and tricks and kind of help, community help each other out kind of thing, whether it's for local small businesses or local community members. They started that group, and then, they help facilitate, connecting businesses with customers who need their services, but might not be able to go there in person. And those are great places for you to also share these helpful blog posts that you're writing, especially if it's related to the group. So that's just another kind of quick tip.
All right.
So you write the blog posts, you share them out. And then what that also does to get you found online is it is good for SEO, search engine optimization. And that is, of course, a loaded term, and there's a lot of mystery behind it.
I was
But
going to
really
say that's one of those acronyms that people are like, oh, SEO.
Yeah. But
And
really all it is providing, to me, all it is providing useful information on your website that Google will find and present to people who are searching for it. So a great way to really, do well in search engines is to write these blog posts where you're answering questions, because if someone goes to Google and they type in that question, odds are there are not a lot of resources out there that are answering that specific question. So your blog post will probably do pretty well, and it'll probably bubble up to the top, especially if the title of your blog post is that question. Because in the SEO world, we know that there are certain ways to rank pages well. One of those is to make sure the title of your page is the keyword that you're trying to rank for. So just answering questions, just doing it naturally, not trying to game the system or anything. You'll see your blog posts start to bubble up to the top. And we're seeing that with a lot of the blog posts we're writing for customers of Tech Blog Builder. Is we're writing helpful posts for them that target their customers. And then our writer actually goes searching for topics to write for other customers. And she's coming across the posts we've written for our customers, showing up at the top of Google for those questions, because they're the only blog post basically in the world that's answering that question. So it's a cool way to just, you get this content out there, you answer helpful questions. People who search for those questions will find your content, and then they will hopefully sign up for your services or sign up for your newsletter.
So you mentioned keywords as it relates to SEO. Now, does that include or is a part of the Google AdWords and all those things that people were trying to figure out a way to trick? And if you get the right AdWords up there, that's how you get your site higher. Are those related?
Yeah. So they are related, but it's a different world. And so Google Ads, especially in the IT business world, is a tricky subject, especially recently, because they've banned certain keywords for ads, but then they ban it for certain companies and not for other companies, and it gets really confusing. So that's its own thing, right? And you bid on keywords in Google AdWords, and those typically are the same keywords you would target in SEO as well. But with SEO, for those keywords that you target in ads, those are more general words like IT support and computer repair and those types of keywords that Google sometimes has been blocking because they think it's scammy or whatever. So we tend to not focus a lot on Google Ads unless they are overtaking your website on local searches. So if someone in your local area is searching for computer repair and there's like 3 Google Ads and then a bunch of map listings, and then your business is way down on the bottom, then that might be worth investing in Google Ads, because that tells you right away that people are able to buy keywords for that search. So that it's going to be allowed. So then you go, you see how much it is to bid on that particular keyword that you searched for when you saw those ads. And then you can see if it's worth it. It's, for some people, it is worth it, especially if you're in a pretty densely populated area where you have a lot of competition. That might help you kind of get above the competition.
So let me try to understand this. So you're actually bidding on the words to throw on the website so that you can get found in searches. So is that like an auction? Like people can outbid you for the words?
Yeah, you're bidding on the keyword that someone is searching for in Google. So, for example, computer repair. If you want to have an ad, if someone in your local area types in computer repair in Google and they get a list, the first 3 or 4 of those results are probably going to be ads. So you're bidding on placing your website in that list of ads at the top of the search results. And it's a kind of an auction. And so the more people that are trying to bid for it, the higher the price goes.
Wow. And so when you bid for those words, like how do they track back to you? Are those words that you put on your site somewhere, or how do you buy them?
Yeah, so Google wants to see that that word shows up on your website. So you're not just randomly targeting some random keyword to try to get people to show up to your website, even though that's not what your business actually does. So so you just want to make sure that if you're bidding on computer repair, that the word computer repair shows up on your website, in certain places. But that's different than just regular old SEO, where you're just trying to give a lot of information about computer repair on your page so that Google sees that and they say, oh, this is a website that we should be ranking high up on the computer repair search page, but that's still going to show below the ads. So when you're thinking about doing SEO on your website, you're thinking about the position of your website below the ads. And then when you're thinking about running Google ads and bidding on keywords, that's so that you can show up in that ad spot above the regular organic search
Okay.
results.
So now, as I understand that a little bit, now help me understand SEO, because I can't imagine that just simply throwing up blog after blog after blog is going to rank your site higher. Isn't there something that has to do with the amount of people that actually go to it?
Yeah. So, we could, there's a lot of time we could spend on SEO because it is complicated. But at the end of the day, you are, so there are two parts to that question. There's writing a bunch of blog posts and how that's going to be effective. And that's effective because you are in the blog post writing, you're targeting keywords that are not competitive. They're keywords like someone types in a whole question, like how can I, set up Zoom for my grandma? No one's going to be bidding on an ad for that because that might get, 2 or 3 searches a month. But those 2 or 3 searches are going to land on your page or going to show you as the top result if you write blog posts. So the cumulative effect of having dozens or even hundreds of blog posts on your website is that you're going to have all these what we call long tail keyword phrases that aren't, it's not IT repair. It's these long questions, these long sentences, these long searches that people are looking for. And there might be 1 or 2 people searching for those per month. But if you have hundreds of those, then all of a sudden you have hundreds of people landing on your website because their searches are being answered by your blog posts and showing up in their Google searches.
All right. So I need to put more Podnuts Pro blog post out.
There you go.
All right. So now, so here's a question. How much do hashtags play a part in all of this?
Not too much.
Okay.
We've written a couple blog posts about hashtags because it's a question we hear a lot from our customers. And we write social media posts for our customers in one of our services. And when we started doing it, we didn't include hashtags. And then we got some customers asking, oh, what about hashtags? We need some hashtags. And because they hear marketing gurus say, use hashtags. At the end of the day, a hashtag is not going to make that big a difference in whether you're going to get a customer from social media. There are some ways that it helps search. So if someone's searching in Facebook for some IT related topic, they would be able to find your post because you used a hashtag. But in real life, we don't see that having much effect in the IT business world. It probably has more effect in like other consumer type products, but
it's big on the Twitter.
Yes, it is. Yeah, there are trending the trending tweets on Twitter that there is a school of thought that if you kind of tie into those trending tweets, that you can somehow ride the wave of the popularity of those. But again, it's not something that I've seen really result in any increase in engagement or anything like that on Twitter for our type of services. It works better for things that are like national services that everybody could use, and that's why I say like consumer facing products or stuff like that. But for especially local IT businesses, you can definitely use them, and it's better to use them than not. But I would just say if you don't know what they are or how to use them, don't worry about it.
Well, I found that they work really well for things like 90 Day Fiance and
Right.
Naked and Afraid, Live PD, those types of things.
Exactly. So if you want to, if you want to target Naked and Afraid fans as your customer, then you could try to tie into that. Otherwise, it's not going to do you much good.
All right. So now with all of these things, I mean, have we tapped at least a little bit of everything, or is there other things to consider when it comes to content marketing and SEO?
I mean, the only other one that we didn't really touch on was like the newsletter, the emails
Okay.
you send to the people who sign up for, your lead magnet or whatever on your website. And those are really the most important people to be focusing on. So social media is great, but it can be a time suck, and the return on investment of your time is not as great as the people that are actually on your list, because those are people that have either shown interest in your services or have used your services at some point. And the saying in marketing goes that your next best customer is your previous best customer. So in other words, you want to keep your customers who already know, like, and trust you in the loop of new services you're offering, new things that are going on with your company, because they're going to be the most likely ones to take advantage of those new services. Or sometimes, especially if you're like a break fix tech, you could have done a job for someone 5 years ago, and their systems are running fine for 5 years, and then all of a sudden something breaks. And if they haven't heard from you in 5 years, they probably will forget about you and go, Google somebody else.
Yeah.
So to keep top of mind on existing customers and people who have shown an interest in your services, nothing beats a newsletter, and nothing beats just sending regular content. Probably just once a month is fine, about what's going on in your company. It doesn't have to be salesy. What you're doing, the latest services you're offering, and then of course, if you're writing blog posts, that's a great place to put links to your blog posts as well.
Well, I will say that this morning I got edition 178 of the Tech Marketing Weekly.
There you go.
That has been going strong. And even last week, and part of the reason I asked you that hashtag question was because your newsletter last week, one of the captions in there was "Boost your IT business hashtag game with these helpful tips."
Yes. And so that's what I said. Like, we wrote some blog posts specifically on hashtags because people had been asking us about hashtags. So we had our writers go out and scour the web for tips on using hashtags effectively. And so there you go.
All right. So the big takeaway I got from that one last week, which you said it a little bit here, was to follow hashtags relevant to your business.
Yes. And so that's a good point. And that's a way to kind of flip the hashtag thing, is following hashtags is a great way to find out what people are talking about. So if you follow, or you click, on Twitter, you click on the hashtag for cybersecurity, something like that, you can see what people are talking about. You can see kind of the latest news. It's a great place to get like the latest news on a certain topic. So it's a good place to kind of keep in the know and get information, which can then help your marketing. And so that's kind of probably a better way to use hashtags.
All right. I want to make sure we don't run out of time. I want to get to a category that you have done for quite some time with the Tech Site Builder, and talking about websites and trends. I mean, listen, I can't say a darn thing because my website sucks. It has always sucked. It looks better now than it did 15 years ago, but I really need to do some work on it. So in terms of websites, what are some things that we need to know besides what you said earlier about, when you drive people to your website, there needs to be a way for them to contact you, a way for them to engage, but what are some things that we need to really pay attention to?
So a big one that we're finding makes a big difference is trust factors. And that just means things on your website that you can, show that you're a trustworthy service provider. And probably the best way to do that is to show testimonials and reviews. So people are relying on reviews more and more these days, because it's easier for people to leave reviews. And it's also a great way to kind of weed through the BS of a company trying to make themselves sound so great. But then you look at their reviews and they got a bunch of 1-star reviews. So people really hone in on reviews, even subconsciously. So just having a place on your homepage, or even ideally on every page of your website, that has, either testimonial quotes from people, and those work best when you show actually 5 stars, It could just be a graphic of 5 stars. It's a mental thing. People see 5 stars and they're like, okay, that must be really good. And then a quote of someone, one of your customers, of course, and it has to be a real quote of a customer, saying what a pleasure they had working for you. It helps also to have a picture of that person and a name, and even, especially if you're like a B2B company, the name of the business, so that they can actually go see that that's a real person or a real business. Those goes a long way in convincing people to contact you who are still on the fence or might be comparing you to other businesses.
All right. So the 5-star thing. So obviously that's a big thing with Amazon and Yelp. So
And
it
Google.
seems as in Google even.
Yeah. So Google. So a big thing now is to make sure that you have a Google My Business profile set up. And that is where people can leave reviews in Google. And those reviews feed into your Google Map listing and your Google search results. So when someone's searching for you in Google Maps, and that actually happens a lot, is someone's in Google Maps, probably on their phone or something, and they're driving around and they're searching for computer repair shops. So this is more for like IT, like storefronts, and stuff like that. But that's where someone can go leave a review for you, and then that shows up on your map listing, and then you can grab that feed of reviews and pump that into your website. That's something we do in Tech Reputation, is we feed people to your Google page to leave reviews, and then we take those reviews and feed them back automatically into your website. So you have a constant stream of these good reviews showing up on your website. So it's kind of a nice circle going there. But yeah, Google My Business is a big place where people can leave reviews for you.
Okay. So now that you've mentioned that, I'm going to ask the question that I get so annoyed because 2, 3, 4 times a day, I'm getting those automated calls about update your Google business listing.
Oh,
so I mean, we know that they've got to be fake, but at some point it's got to be done. So if you do it, does it make it more annoying that they call you, or are those even real? I mean, I assume they're not.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they're probably finding your website in some listing somewhere, or finding your phone number in some listing. But yeah, no, I don't think those are real. I mean, there could be Google could be hiring call center people to be calling you about your Google profile, but if they're asking you for money, then it's definitely just some business trying to cold call you. But on the other hand, it is something that you want to pay attention to, and it is something that you want to make sure is updated to reflect your business. Because what we see sometimes with our customers is they set up their Google profile, 5 years ago, and then their business hours have changed. Sometimes they've even moved locations. Some of the services have changed, and then they don't update their Google profile, and that profile is what shows up in the map search. So when someone searches for your business and they see your listing there, all the stuff that's listed, the description, your hours of operation, all that stuff is being pulled from your Google My Business profile. So you always want to make sure that's updated without, updated hours and stuff like that. You can also feed in your latest services and any deals or specials you have going on. Those can show up in your map listing as well if you feed those into Google My Business. So it's something you want to just always be keeping tabs on and making sure it's up to date with anything that's changed in your business.
I mean, I've gone in and done that, and part of me doesn't want to do that because my business isn't the type where we want people walking in off the street or searching us. But at the same time, I know that that's a big thing. So I've gone in and, done it, and our mailing address is on there. And of course, it's kind of deceiving because that's not where my real office is.
Right.
But I don't want people showing up to my office. But I have the thing on there about appointment required, mask required, and all that stuff. But it's just annoying that they call all the time.
Yeah, I mean, so that's going to happen if you don't want people call. I would hope you would want people calling, but again, you'll get lots of different people calling, and sometimes not your ideal customer calling. And so that's where something like maybe an answering service comes in, where you can have a first line of defense where people can leave a message or something, and if they really need you, then they can go through the menu to get you.
Got the auto attendant, that's for sure. All
Yeah.
right. So anything though, what's the good part about the Google My Business? Now you mentioned the fact that obviously if you've got a storefront or you've got a place where people do come to you, you want the correct listing there, you want your hours listed and all of that stuff. Well, what else can you do? I mean, is there other stuff to do with Google My Business?
I mean, so recently Google My Business has really come in handy with COVID because you're able to post the status of your business as far as, are you open? Are you taking appointments? Is everything remote? All of that stuff. They've created some fields and stuff for you to fill out, so that shows up in the listings as well. So you can really kind of get that information in front of people before they call you, so that they can understand that. Other than that, I think really the reviews are the big thing. Why you want a up-to-date profile is so that people have a place to leave reviews. And what we do with Tech Reputation, and what I recommend folks who are listening do, whether it's with something like Tech Reputation or you just do it on your own, is wait until you're done with the service. Ask the customer, did you like our service? Rate it from 1 to 5, something like that. Just an informal kind of thing in an email. And then if they say, yeah, we loved it, it was great, 5 stars, we can't wait to call you again. Then you send a follow-up email saying, great, would you mind leaving a review on Google? And then that makes sure that, most of the reviews on Google are going to be positive. If someone has a negative experience with you, it's giving you the opportunity to learn that and then try to resolve it before they go off on a tirade and start bad mouthing you on social media, which
Right.
we all know, can happen. So that's something to keep in mind. That's what we do at Tech Reputation every time, or at Tech Marketing Engine. Every time someone has a positive experience with us, they say, oh, this was great. Then we'll follow up with an email saying, oh, would you mind leaving us a review? We send them to Facebook because since we're not a local business, we don't concentrate on Google My Business. We send them to leave a review for us on Facebook. So that's great. And then again, that's just a thing, the reviews you can use on your website to show trust. And that really goes a long way in getting people to stay on your website and then eventually engage with you.
All right. So you made a slip up a couple of seconds ago. So I want to come back and circle around that, because Tech Marketing Engine is the business and you're made up of a few different components. And you mentioned Tech Reputation.
Yes.
We mentioned the Tech Blog Builder.
Right.
And then there's also Tech Site Builder.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you pimp yourself a little bit. So why don't you go ahead and talk about those 3 components and what Tech Marketing Engine can do for you?
All right. What can Tech Marketing Engine do for you? So yeah, Tech Marketing Engine is a business that's comprised of 3 different brands. And basically what those brands do is they provide services that are all around, online kind of content marketing of some form. So of course, Tech Site Builder is one of those brands, and that focuses on your website. And that's a very low cost, affordable way for you to get a website just up and running for your business. And we take care of all the stuff in the background, like, mobile optimization that we talked about, making sure that the structure of your site is well suited for good SEO. And then we provide a place for you to blog and list your services and make that super easy for you. And you can do that all yourself. So you just sign up and you use our tools to build out your website yourself. And then we offer various levels of helping you do that stuff with, we can do everything for you, or we can do certain things for you. And all of that is, once you sign up, then you get access to all of those extra services. So we like to just, be able to take care of anything you need with your website. Then Tech Blog Builder is another service, and that actually spawned out of Tech Site Builder, where people who were had websites with us were asking for blog posts. And so we would, write for just Tech Site Builder users. And then we had people who had their own website who didn't use Tech Site Builder asking us for blog posts because they saw Tech Site Builder people having good blog posts. So we thought, okay, let's just spin this off into its own service. Then we can offer blog posts for anybody, whether you're on Tech Site Builder or not. And with Tech Blog Builder, we write blog posts for you. We can turn those into videos. And those videos are mainly for sharing on social media, because we find that the best type of posts that get the most engagement are videos. So we take your blog post, we take the key pieces of your blog post and put it in like a text video where there's animations and text moving in and out and stuff. And it's really just a way to capture someone's eye as they're scrolling down Facebook. And then hopefully the whatever information you're teaching them is interesting, and then they'll click to read more. And we're also offering a newsletter service through Tech Blog Builder. So we'll take your blogs that we write for you and package them up in a newsletter, and we fully manage that for you. So we manage the collection of emails from your website. We manage sending out the newsletter to your customers. So it's very hands-off for you, because I know there are some services out there that provide like a newsletter template for you and some content for you to use. And that's great, but you still got to load it up into your own newsletter service, and you still have to set up the form that pulls in the emails and stuff like that. So we do all of that for you. And then finally, Tech Reputation is the third service under Tech Marketing Engine, and that's where we do what I just described, where we'll take we'll hook into your ticketing system and then automatically send emails to your customers, ask them if they had a good experience. If they did, we forward them on to Google or Facebook or some other review platform to leave a review. We also do some directory listings and stuff to make sure that your website is listed in like Google My Business and some other business directories accurately. And then Tech Marketing Engine is the umbrella company over all that. And we package those up into different ways that you can order them all together or in different packages at Tech Marketing Engine.
All right. So I've got the website scrolling across the screen if you're watching the video. If you're not, Tech Marketing Engine, all one word.com is where you can find this. And they do have different packages where you can buy some or all of their services. And Matt, I'm going to go ahead and ask a question that came up in the chat before we go to the post show. And that is, can any type of business use your services?
So we do market ourselves to IT businesses, but we are flexible. So we have had different types of businesses sign up for some of our services. For example, we had an HVAC company, heating and air conditioning company, sign up for Tech Blog Builder, and we wrote blog posts for them because our writer is really good at researching technical topics and turning those into easy to digest blog posts. So we wrote a bunch of blog posts about heating and air conditioning for this company, and it worked out well, and they were happy. So we are flexible, but really it's really technical service-based businesses is where we really shine for our services.
All right. And actually, I referred a business to you a couple of years ago. Are they still with you?
Which one was that?
The Seafarer's House.
Oh yeah. So that's over on my other business, which is my web consulting business.
Okay.
And that's that we take on any kind of small business client over there. But yeah,
okay.
they're still a customer over there, and so that was a great referral.
All right. I should know that. They're getting ready to build a whole new building, so we got a bunch of work we'll be doing for them. So they'll have to redo their website and get a new picture. They're building a brand new building. So
wow, cool.
Should be nice.
Good opportunity, yeah, to redo their stuff.
And they have nothing to do with tech, by the way.
Right.
All right. So folks, you have been listening to Marketing Matt, and I have changed my name on the screen as your host of No Marketing Marv. And wow, you see all the notes I took here. Wow. There's a lot of stuff I did not know. Everything from the Facebook pixel to the trust factor, business.facebook.com. We didn't even talk about some of these things I've noted for questions. I wanted to talk about funnels, but we'll skip that.
You'll just have to have me back again.
Google Analytics and the ever so popular SEO.
Yes.
All right. So Matt Rodela from Tech Marketing Engine, thank you very much. Is there anything that you wanted to leave the listeners or watchers with before we end the show? And for those of you that are with us live, be sure to stay through the end of the show, as we will do a post show and answer some more of these questions that you put in the chat. But Matt, anything before we go?
Yeah, I mean, we like to practice what we preach at Tech Marketing Engine. So I would encourage folks who are listening, who are IT businesses, if you want to find us on Facebook, we have a group called the Tech Marketing Group. So just search Tech Marketing Group. And if anything, it's a great place to go to see what we do for our content strategy. So we write regular blog posts. We post it on Facebook. We engage with people who comment. And hopefully there's some helpful tips there as well. but you can just kind of see, you know, we try to do what we do for customers ourselves. And that's a great way to see what we're doing.
All right. Fantastic. Matt, thank you very much. And I may have to call you up and redo my website and
Then you'll be kind of marketing Marv.
kind of marketing Marv. We'll see how it goes. Folks, thank you for watching and listening, downloading and subscribing. If you want to go back and get some of the notes that we have here, I'm going to have a full set of page notes over at podnutspro.com. And it will be today's date, March 17th, St. Patty's Day. And No Marketing Marv presents Tech Marketing Engine and Matt Rodela. Matt, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
That is going to do it for this episode of Podnuts Pro, everyone. I want to remind you that, yes, we are here every Wednesday night at 8 p.m., including next Wednesday night, where I will continue the No Marketing Marv Presents series. And next week, we will have Dave Scott with Scott Digital Marketing. That is going to be another show as we talk about the higher end of marketing. So hope that you will join us then. So on behalf of my good friend, Matt Rodela, thank you all for watching and listening. And until next time, holla. All right, and we're back.
All right.
First bit of business, Matt, that we need to do is you got off the hook for the live show for the Florida man versus the world or random question. So I want to go ahead and just at least do that. And so it'll stay with the video here. Have you decided if you want to challenge Florida man or if you want to answer a random question?
I'm no match for Florida man, so let's just do the question.
Okay. So I am heading over to this site is going to be the Story Shack where they have a random question generator. So let me get the question and oh, well, this is interesting. What's the most difficult thing that you still do each day?
Ooh, each day. So this is like a daily thing. Man. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious, but it's waking up in the morning. Like I still would rather just stay in bed, you know, an hour later than I do. So yeah, that alarm is brutal.
So you're not getting up every morning and doing your running and calisthenics and workouts to stay active in the reserve?
So yeah, sometimes I do, and I hate it. So, you know, I do it, but I hate it. So that's why I don't look forward to it. But
all right.
And right now I have a sprained ankle, so I'm not doing it. And it's weird. It's a love-hate relationship because when I don't do it, I miss it and I wish I was doing it. But then when I'm doing it, I hate it. So I don't know.
All right. All right. So I do want to go back and acknowledge some people in the chat. First, I want to say, so Bill Osborne had put something early on, silent supporters here.
Yep. So that's my dad and my mom is Brenda.
Oh,
so
really?
Yeah. I shared this on my Facebook feed and I hadn't done anything in a while. So of course, my parents will jump on and support me. So
our son, Maddie. Hello, Mom and Dad. Yep. And as we were talking about Facebook and stuff, this person had put on there right on social media platforms keep changing things up.
Yes.
And I guess that we had talked about the fact that Facebook people were complaining that their ads weren't getting seen and posts weren't getting read and all of that stuff.
Yeah. And just the Facebook changes its interface all the time. on the front end, of course, like they changed the whole layout and stuff here recently. But then also if you do like use the business Facebook side of things, they're constantly changing that and moving menus around and changing where things are. So it's tough and it's frustrating.
So I did look that up real quick while you were talking about it, and I think I closed it because business.facebook.com. So actually it says it's the Facebook Business Suite.
Yeah, so they've been building this up for a while now, and now it's a really cool kind of suite of services. What I really like about it is it's a place you can go and manage your page without getting distracted by your normal personal Facebook feed. So you can go and log into your page and post things, and you can go to the groups that you normally go to and interact. You would interact as your page instead of as your personal. So sometimes you see people like interacting as their page instead of themselves. That's because they're going through something like the business manager.
All right. And I can see here all the posts that I've done and I can see the number reached, the engagement, reactions, likes, comments, and shares.
Yeah. So you get a little more info.
All right. And then a couple of other things. Here's the ads feature, which I've not done any ads, but I can do this. Oh, you can actually go between your personal page and your business page and other pages.
Oh yeah. Yep. There you go. So you can switch between them.
So my business page has nothing.
This is a blank screen.
There you go. No marketing, Marv. Wow. Podnuts Pro has a bunch of stuff, but
yep.
Okay. All right. And who else is here? So a lot of conversation going on. Looks like Ramey was commenting with some people there. So good there. How's
Yep.
Let's see what else was in there. If you guys have any,
John mentioned Nextdoor app as a good app to kind of try to do some marketing on, and I've seen that doing really well, where it's like a neighborhood kind of social media platform where you can like list your services and stuff.
So that's where I use the Nextdoor app. So where I live, we're not an official homeowners association, but we're unofficial and pretty active as unofficial. And we all use the Facebook app, but it's more like neighbors to neighbor stuff. And the people that have posted on their business wise, now, obviously it's going to be different for each area, I assume, but I feel like the sleazy contractors are the ones trying to sneak in there, but that could be just a Florida thing.
Yeah, it's tough. It's one of those you have to balance really well and be very cognizant of how you're talking about your services. So a lot of times and this is just true for all social media, is you want to be active without selling first. So they get to know you as someone who's just always active. And then when someone asks an IT question or says, hey, can you recommend a good IT person? Then you can chime in and say, oh yeah, by the way, I do IT. And they already know that you're someone who's been engaged to begin with. So it's really those people that lurk in the background and then only come out when it's time to pitch their services that people kind of, get leery of.
All right. And Stetson Blake, I don't know if these people are still with us. If you are, just pipe in and either ask additional questions or comment to what we're saying now. But Stetson had put, TikTok is a decent marketing channel, probably not all that good for local marketing just yet. Could be a place to build long-term, like asking, is YouTube a good place for me to market in 2011?
Yeah, I can see that. It could be argued that it's a place you want to start building a presence on now. But I think about the typical, IT business owner like you, Marvin, and how you're busy running your business, and you barely have enough time to keep your website updated and do other stuff.
Barely.
And to just then say, okay, now you got to go on TikTok and do a bunch of TikTok videos. It's returning what is it? I don't know what the term is, but like you can only put your time in so many places, and you want to put your time in places that are going to give you the best return.
Right. Well, and the wife and I were just talking about that, because even though she helps me in the business, we are still not doing a whole lot of, Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. She might be watching. So, but the business takes a lot of time. And then doing a podcast takes a lot of time. And then I started a personal podcast. That takes a lot of time. So by the time, the weekend comes and stuff, I don't, man, don't ask me to do TikTok. Don't ask me to be on Facebook. It's like, I don't want to do all that stuff. But in terms of the business and the podcast, I got to do it.
Right.
But yes, being where the listeners, where the viewers, where the business people are. For my business, I am engaged in a lot of the local communities. Most of my clients are law firms. So I'm hanging out where they hang out. A lot of them, they're not on Facebook. They're attending, these association meetings and legal councils and the Florida legal groups or whatever. So I'm getting in with them and doing those things. And
yeah, and that's great. So that's a great place to focus. I think with something like TikTok, it's something worth exploring if you have the time and you want to check it out. And again, like all of these places, it's a great place to just, if it's a place you like to hang out and watch videos on, then just be engaged and do fun stuff. And then eventually, you might build up a following that then you can then sell stuff. But it's just, to me, it just doesn't feel like the best place to do IT business marketing.
Right.
I don't see
Brian has a good point where he says, I think the key is to use content that will hang around, build a large digital content footprint. So obviously the things we talked about, in terms of doing the blogs and the videos, that, do them in a way that they're going to be relevant down the road, not just for today.
That's where YouTube shines, unlike like most other social medias where it's a walled garden, where you can't, like when you search Google, you don't see Facebook listings in Google because Facebook keeps all of its stuff inside Facebook. But Google, you can find Google listings on, YouTube. You can find YouTube listings on Google. So that's a good place to put your content, is YouTube and on your blog, because those live in infamy. People can find them and discover them. Whereas, once you post something on Facebook and it goes down the feed, it's pretty much gone after, a few days. Same with most of these other things like Twitter and LinkedIn. So just keep that in mind. You put the content on, it lives on your blog or on YouTube if you do videos, and then you go to social media to point people to those things, but you don't want to have your stuff live on those places, if that makes sense.
So something I didn't ask you. So I've seen Facebook ask me about boosting my post. And I assume that that's not exactly the same thing as the ads, but it seems as though you're only boosting for so many days.
Yep.
And I'm assuming that's because, like you said, the post goes, and then as the day goes along, it just slowly goes down. And then at some point it's below the Mendoza line, where how do people find those types of things? And does Facebook ads work the same way?
Yeah. So the Facebook boosting and ads have gotten closer together now. Before, a few years ago, when you boosted a post, that was its own thing, and you basically pay money to have your post show up in the feed of the people who actually liked your page. So if you remember back in the day, like maybe over 5 years ago, when you posted something on your Facebook business page, it would show in the feed of the people who are following your page. And it would just be like any regular personal Facebook post that you posted shows up in people's feed. Your business post would show up in people's feed. And then all of a sudden, Facebook turned that off so that your business posts weren't showing up in people's feeds hardly at all. And then that forced you to have to pay money to boost them. So then you had to boost a post so that it would show up in the feeds of the people who follow your page. But now they've added all the stuff you can do with an ad into the boosting mechanism. So now you can really boost a post and turn it into an ad. So these days, when you boost a post, you're really just saying, I want this post that I posted on my business page to turn into an ad. And then I can say who I want to target to. I can run it for as long as I want to run it, and it'll be just like an ad. So it's kind of, it's a very fine line now, and it's not much different than running an ad these days.
I wonder how much of that had to do with the fact that people probably were complaining that I don't want to see business ads in my Facebook.
Yep, that probably was part of it. And it was probably just a way that Facebook saw to make money, right?
Nope, okay, that's true.
It's we got all these businesses on here. They want to, show stuff to their customers. Let's make them pay for it.
All right. Let's see here.
And as Stetson said, law of diminishing returns. That was the thing I was trying to, the phrase I was trying to think of before.
Yeah. And Brian writes, agree on TikTok. I'm not sure the audience has disposable income or much use for our services other than which gaming PCs, and they usually repair themselves or at least attempt to.
Yeah. Something like what Carrie Holzman does might work well on TikTok, the computer repair videos and the kind of how to repair your own computer type stuff.
Right.
That might work well there. So that's a good kind of case study for something that would work well on TikTok.
All right. We can't ask him now. He and Mike are broadcasting now on Tech Vets.
We should go crash their Tech Vets.
And what else did he say? I mainly do Facebook advertising or sometimes share posts from my business page to Facebook groups within 30 miles. Matt mentioned to me years ago that it was better to capture client emails with this service. He was 100% correct. You got to build that email list.
Yep.
So that's interesting. So how do you build your email list from Facebook?
Well, I mean, you have to just, that's you get people to go back to your website from Facebook. So that's where the blog posts come in. So you write helpful blog posts, post it on Facebook. In order to read the blog post, they have to click and then go to your website to read it. And then that's where you have your sign up form.
Okay. Got that. All right.
And it's really the lead. I can't stress the lead magnet enough because people, and that's where people get disheartened about email lists is they throw up a newsletter sign up form on their website and then nobody fills it out because no one could give, I don't know if we can cuss on this thing, but
sure.
No one could give two shits about your newsletter, right? When they're on your website looking for computer services.
Right.
But if you have, top 10 ways to efficiently work from home or keep your, be able to work from home without getting cyber attacked or something like that, all of a sudden there's this useful thing that they can download. And in order to download it, they give you their email. And that's how you get people to sign up for your newsletter.
So that was something that when you said it earlier, talking about something that people can get. So the freebie, everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but I've seen people outside of the tech industry really focus on this, here, sign up for this free ebook or sign up for this free seminar or session. And that's how they're grabbing the email addresses and stuff like that. Part of me wants to do something where I can say, hey, go to my website and download this free thing, but I want them to feel like it's really free, like they don't even have to give me their email address.
Yeah.
But then I can catch them later. Maybe they come back a few times, then have them sign up for a list.
Yeah, that's a natural feeling because you don't want people to feel like they're having to exchange something. But at the end of the day, it's a marketing tool, and there has to be some kind of give and take. So you're giving away this super valuable free resource, and there's got to be some value exchange for that. And the value exchange is they're giving you their email address.
Right.
So it's like, there's a thing where IT business owners, or computer repair guys, they like to, give away free advice on the phone and stuff like that. And then we tell them, don't do that. You have to charge what you're worth. So this is taking that to the very minimum where you got to you're giving something very valuable. You're putting a lot of thought into this thing you created to give away to people. You want to get something in return. And if it's valuable, people are not going to think twice about giving their email address for it because they're going to think, oh, I'm giving my email address to someone who has this good info. Maybe later on down the road, they'll send me more good info. And that's what you've got to think about. Think about, where you've entered your email address to download something in the past. For me, it's usually been, for me as a marketing company, it's usually been to like find some kind of marketing framework that I want to check out, or some kind of worksheet where I can fill it out to, find out my target customer or something like that. And I'll happily give my email to download something, because that's going to save me a lot of time, hours of time doing research to find all the things that they consolidated into one nice little worksheet. And all I have to do is give them my email address. Sure. And if I don't like the emails they send me, I'll unsubscribe.
All right. My mind was wandering, and only because when we were, I should have asked you about this type of stuff on the podcast, but a lot of people, well, what I should have done is asked you, do you have a lot of people that come to you after trying to do stuff themselves for free by going to these places like Canva and all these other places where they can try to, do it themselves? Do you have a lot of people that, end up your way because of that? They, either get tired of trying to do it themselves, or it's just not working the way they thought it was?
Yeah, I think that's really our target customer is someone who has been doing it themselves or has tried to do it themselves, and are either getting to the point where they just don't have the time to do it themselves, or they tried to do it themselves and they just didn't do a good job, or they couldn't figure out how to do it. And that's because our positioning is to people who already understand that having regular blog posts is a good thing, or having a well optimized website is a good thing. And then they probably tried it and didn't have good luck with it, and then they come to us and we make it easy.
All right. Now to go back, so you guys not only create the blog post, but you manage the emails for them, send out the newsletter, and do all of that.
Yeah, and that's actually a service we haven't advertised yet. The newsletter.
Until now.
The newsletter one. Yeah. I mean, so once you sign up for Tech Blog Builder, then we let you know, hey, we have this newsletter service, but it's not something that you see on the website when you visit for the first time, because it's still, we just introduced it last year. And so we're still kind of slowly ramping on people to it. But it's worked really well for the people we're doing it for. Because again, those were folks who were trying to do it themselves, trying to send out emails every month. They probably signed up for like the Tech Nibbles, newsletter thing, and they were doing that, and it was working okay, but they just ran out of time, or they forget to do it, or it's just too much to manage. And so then, because we're writing blog posts for them, the blog posts are the thing that fills out the newsletter with content. We just take the blog posts, put them in the newsletter. And then that way, people who don't go read their blog posts, which are most people, because, as a person, you're not going reading the blog posts of your plumber and your electrician and stuff like that. But if they send you a newsletter with helpful tips about how to, troubleshoot a fuse box, or, issue or something like that, where kind of DIY stuff, then you're going to subscribe to their newsletter. You're going to open it and you're going to read what they have to say. And that's kind of what we're doing with the newsletters, is putting that helpful info of the blog posts we write into the newsletter, giving you an excuse to send emails to your past customers once a month, and doing it all for you, so you don't have to worry about it.
All right. So a question I have that kind of goes back to the whole reason the No Marketing Marv exists is because of some Yahoo that claimed to be a marketing guru, and she was a complete fraud and was throwing up crappy Facebook posts. And they were literally the same for everybody. So one of the questions that I want to know if you get asked is, when you do blog posts for everybody, are you doing the same blogs, or are you mixing them up? And, that's I guess the fear that people have is that, well, I don't want to have the same blog as 10 other companies or 100 other companies.
Right. Yeah, I love that question, because it's specifically what we built Tech Blog Builder to avoid. So every single blog post we write for every customer is completely unique to that customer. We write it live, at the time that we give it to them. So there's no repeat blog posts. Even the social media posts, they're all unique. We all write them for that particular customer at that particular time, because we really want to be like a marketing person sitting in your business, who's, who knows your business, who's talking about the services you're providing, who's speaking to your target customer. And that's different for every IT business. So one IT business isn't like the other one. And so that we saw a lot of frustration with services like that in the past, and there wasn't a lot of answers to that. So that's a big reason why we do the newsletter and the social and everything else with Tech Blog Builder, so that we can do that for you, have unique content that we write specifically for you. And that is our big differentiator. So,
all right. And I was just looking down on my notes and realized, did we talk about the new version of TechSite Builder?
No, we didn't. And that's okay, because there's no date yet for that.
Okay.
So it's still, we're not quite ready to like really announce it. It's something that we're working on this year, but we don't have a set date for it yet. So that's fine.
All right. So, but let me ask the question, because I think a lot of people think that it's just a website template that you get and throw your stuff in and that's it. But it's more than that, right?
Yeah, well, it is that, but
Okay.
it's more than that. I mean, so the base tech site builder package is $19 a month. So, that's not a lot. So there's only so much we could do for that much. So we're taking care of hosting, we're taking care of security, backups, all that stuff. So you don't have to go off and find your own host. And then we give you the template. And it is a template, so you're going to get the same template that every other business that signs up for it gets, but it's very flexible. So you can, do whatever you want with it. We have a page builder built into it, so you can kind of drag and drop stuff around the screen and reshuffle things. But really, that's meant for people who are just getting started.
Okay.
Once you're past the stage of just getting started, then we have the concierge service, where you can basically hire us to build out your website and making it look pretty. And that's what we've done for folks like, Tom Bull of Two River Computer, Paco LeBron of Prodigy Techs. They're all tech site builder customers, but their websites don't look like what tech site builder websites look like, because we've basically reskinned and changed around everything to make it look good. So that's what we recommend. We recommend you sign up for Tech Site Builder, get started. And then once you're ready to really build out a good, effective website, we can take you to the next level with that.
Okay. And the fact that you do hosting is huge.
Yep.
And the reason I'm thinking about that right now is because Network Solutions, where my site is, was down today because they had a DNS issue.
Yeah.
But all my customers everywhere else were fine. I mean, I guess it happens to everybody at some point, but Network Solutions, I am not happy with them. I've not been happy with them for years, but.
Yeah, we use really good premium hosting to host Tech Site Builder websites. So we've never been down. There have been a couple times where like we were running an update. And so the website, like said, everyone's website all of a sudden said maintenance mode. But then like a couple of minutes later, it came back. And then we had a couple of people contact us about that, but we have a better process now, so that doesn't happen. But yeah, so, it stays up, and we take, especially with WordPress takes a lot of maintenance. You got to update the plugins and keep everything, up to date and compatible, because if you don't, then it's vulnerable to hackers. And so we take care of all that for you, keeping everything updated.
Speaking of plugins, so if you're doing the concierge service, does that mean you can do all those additional plugins, and can you do like a commerce site as part of that? Or,
we're just starting to dip our toe into the e-commerce stuff. As a web developer, I knew that was complex, because you have to connect to payment gateways like PayPal or Stripe. You have to have, sometimes you have to have like a shopping cart page and stuff. And so there's a lot of inner workings to make that happen. And I didn't want to take that on when I have, hundreds of people on Tech Site Builder, and then all of a sudden, all of them want an e-store. So we're offering that to people who sign up for a concierge, or people who are on like the tech marketing engine plan, where they have the package of everything. And then we can say, okay, now that we got your website set up, are there certain services you want to have available for people to purchase through the website? So we're kind of just offering that onesie twosie to people who we think might need it. It's not something we're quite ready to open the floodgates on, but it's definitely a possibility. So if you sign up for Tech Site Builder and you're like, I'd like to be able to sell my services through the website, we'll work with you to make that happen.
All right, my friend. Well, we have talked a lot.
Time flies.
It does.
Time flies when you're talking.
It does. Well, we haven't talked for a while too, so.
That's right. Yeah, it's been too long.
and don't get to ask. And I try not to ask the personal questions because I see those posts on the Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've had some life changes.
you have.
and
Somebody,
for the
somebody,
better recently.
somebody was a Yahoo and said, "Well, Matt Rodela's divorced." I'm like, "No, he's not." I'm like, how in the world did you see that? They're like, "Oh, there was a picture and he didn't have his wife on there." I'm like, okay, he can have a life separate from the wife every now and then.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind talking about that stuff. I was never married, so I was in a long-term relationship that ended, and then I just recently got married to a wonderful woman who it's my first marriage actually, so I never was divorced.
Okay.
And so that's been great, and I'm super happy.
All right.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't mind talk is I know in our business, especially in these tight knit podcast communities and stuff, we talk about each other, and that's fine. And so I like to just if
usually I like to keep them separated. So we just had somebody recently who has been a client for years finally asked me one day, they're like, "Does the girl that answer your phone, Kim, is she your wife?" And I'm like, "Yes, she is."
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not the type to talk about personal things, but I'm also not someone who's going to hide anything that's going on. And sometimes inevitably personal life bleeds into professional life.
Yep.
And talking about the social media person that you had the bad experience with in the past, that was kind of a messy situation for certain people who were involved with that. And so, you just gotta,
yeah. And it's still bad.
Yeah.
I wish I could say stuff, but she is still out there wreaking havoc. And just as recently as the end of last year was still taking money from people. So
wow.
At some point I will have to address that again. And for the people that, are getting tired of hearing about it, well, I apologize, but until the bitch stops, I'm sorry that somebody's got to call her out on it. And so we'll deal with that. So, and that was, one reason why we did not talk marketing on this show for a very long time.
Right.
But
I know. But on the plus side, we got a lot of her ex-customers. So
good.
And we're making them happy. So that was a good side of it for us, at least.
All right. Well, I'm glad things are doing well. And, when the new tech site builder comes out, hopefully you can let everybody know. We'll announce that for you and get you some more business. And you and Ramey, continued success. And we'll have to get him on here too one day.
Absolutely. Yeah. He can go off on like the review stuff and the listing stuff. And he's really good with direct mail. So like physical mail and how to make that effective. So he's got a lot of good stuff to chat about too.
All right. Well, sounds good. So I'm going to go ahead and end off the show here. So for those of you that are still watching, thank you very much. And check us out next time. We'll be here next week. Same time, same place. Bye for now.